Three, two, one, and hello, welcome. 96th version of Aini Living Conversations. We are heated on with conversation with Sacred Blue Heron Woman from Indianola, Oklahoma. I am from a little bit cooler time with a lot of rain down in Jalapa, Veracruz, Mexico. And I'm Julian Gatari. This session, we're doing the three germs of the ancient ones. That's how I finally chose to title this conversation.
I like that.
The three germs of the ancient ones, and there's not a lot that I can say about it. When I wrote the description, I mentioned a little bit about the germ theory and how we're taught to fear germs, and then from anything you can read about biology, germs are the base of life, are the spark of life. So I'm thinking it's going to go that way, but let's hear it from you, Ingrid.
So we're going to start with a little bit of creation or evolving, growing ontogeny first. So in space, as on Earth, the elements of life, carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, sulfur, and phosphorus, and a few others must recycle. This recycling is not a suburban luxury. It is a principle of life from which no technology can deliver us. Human voyages into deep space would require ecosystems composed of many non-human organisms to recycle waste into food. So it's kind of impossible. An ecosystem is the smallest unit that recycles the biologically important elements. Carbon dioxide is fixed or chemically converted to food and body, which is organic carbon. And then organic carbon is respired, reacted, degraded, or transformed into different kinds of organic matter. Eventually, someone's enzyme or deep breathing reacts to that organic carbon to release carbon dioxide from it. So in this sense, carbon is cycled. The same can be said for nitrogen as it goes from the sluggish nitrogen of the atmosphere to the useful nitrogen of amino acids. When amino acids released from proteins are converted to nitrogen waste and after conversions become the nitrogen of gas in the air, then the nitrogen cycle is complete, as far as we know. Elements cycle faster within ecosystems than between the ecosystems, and no chemical is entirely isolated. So an ecosystem can be defined as a set of communities of different species and of organisms living in the same place at the same time, enjoying an influx of external energy and matter. An ecosystem is also a volume of Earth's surface where organisms recycle energy and matter at a faster rate inside the system than between it and other systems. So the material and energy needs of organisms in any ecosystem are met by recycling all of the many chemical compounds required for life maintenance. Symbiogenesis developed Mother Earth into ecosystems that we could live in. No matter how much our species preoccupies us, our own species preoccupies us, life is a far wider ecosystem. Life is an incredibly complex interdependence of matter and energy among millions of species beyond and within our own skin. These Earth aliens are our relatives, our ancestors, and part of us. They cycle our matter and bring us water and food. Without the other, we would not survive. Our symbiotic, interactive, interdependent past is connected through animated waters. And then, interestingly enough, shortly after I found that, after I wrote that, I found on YouTube these water teachings by a Native American Anishinaabe woman.
The one you shared with me.
No, the even different one. Okay. Yeah. I'll have to share it. What she says is really good. I'll have to share it with you. Yes. So, proprioception. is the perception of
Ah,
movement and spatial orientation arising from stimuli inside our bodies. And this is a medical concept.
okay.
However, our proprioceptors constantly inform us that we are standing up, we're squinching our eyes, we're clenching our fists, or we're totally relaxed, or we're falling, or, whatever we're doing.
Mhm.
So proprioceptors work as sensory systems inside the body. And our Earth has enjoyed a proprioceptive system for millennia, since long before humans evolved. Small mammals communicate the coming earthquake or cloudburst. Trees release a volatile substance that warns their neighbors of bugs attacking their leaves. So proprioception is the sensing of self, and it is old as the self itself.
Wow. And nobody ever taught anybody that.
Yes.
Wow.
Our global nervous system didn't just begin with the origin of people. She physiologically regulated herself, enjoying proprioceptive global communication long before we showed up. Air circulated gas emissions and soluble chemicals from tropical trees, mating-ready insects, and life-threatened bacteria. So life is a planetary level phenomenon, and Earth's surface has been alive for a very long time. She takes care of us. Life maintains her environment. She is homeostatic, just like all of us. Humans, plants, animals, trees, maintaining a relatively stable internal temperature despite changing conditions. She has emerged the 10 million or more interconnected living species that form her incessantly active body. So far from being fragile, planetary life is highly resilient. Gaia herself is not an organism. She is an emergent property of interaction among organisms, the spherical planet on which they reside, and the sun is our main energy source. She's an ancient phenomenon, and trillions of jostling, feeding, mating, exuding beings compose her planetary system. She is the regulated surface of the planet, incessantly creating new environments and new organisms. She incorporates the ecological crisis of her components. She responds brilliantly, and in her new necessity becomes the mother of invention. She is the largest ecosystem and is the genius of recycling. Order is generated by non-conscious repetitious activities. Gaia, as an interweaving network of all life, is alive, aware, and conscious to various degrees in all her cells, bodies, and societies. She's a tough bitch, and she's not threatened by us. She's not human, nor does she belong to us. In all her symbiogenetic glory, she is inherently expansive, subtle, aesthetic, ancient, and exquisitely resilient. So our self-inflated moral imperatives to heal her is more evidence of our immense capacity for self-delusion. We actually need to protect ourselves from ourselves. It's time to free ourselves from our species-specific arrogance. Our true status to her is that we are upright mammalian weeds. We are not the center of life, just like no other species is the center of life. We are not even central to life. We are a recent, rapidly growing part of the enormous ancient whole. Biodiversity is an absolute requirement for Gaian persistence. There is no most favorite species list.
Mhm.
We humans are just like our plant mates. We cannot put an end to nature. We can only pose a threat to ourselves. Our non-human relatives are singing, "We got along before you. We're going to get along without you when you're gone." Most of them, the microbes, the whales, the insects, the seed plants, and the birds are all still singing despite what we've done. The tropical forest trees are humming to themselves, waiting for us to finish our arrogant logging so they can get back to their business of growth as usual. And they will continue their cacophonies and harmonies long after we're gone. So now we're going to shift to the three germs of the old ones.
But wait, let me comment that section
Yeah.
where I think that's all you shared. I mean, it touches a whole lot of things, but one of the things that I want to point out to folks listening to this is how much of a medicine narration this is in face of this climate change craziness that their agenda they're pushing. You know how if they were to read or listen to this, it would get you thinking. It gets you thinking about, you know, hey, wait a minute, life can I mean, and you know, we know that carbon is just not, it's a minuscule part of what really warms the earth, which is the sun, and then life is going to regulate. And what do we know? What do we know if Gaia is going to create other environments? If she's going to go into an ice age? If she's going to go into, we don't know. I mean, we can't. So this is just medicine for all this.
Yeah.
This climate change BS that we're getting. So I just wanted to comment that.
Yeah.
Keep going.
For sure. So with the three germs that form us, there are three universal truths that govern our existence. So number one is, from the mystery, all came forth. All manifestations are in harmony and resonate with that truth. Nothing is outside of it. Wisdom is the stream of singing coming forth from the old ones. In the beginning was emptiness. From the emptiness there came forth singing as light, giving birth to all that we perceive. The light, sound, the sacred word, the unmanifest became real. The intentions of the old ones underlies all manifestation, and each of us is aligned with that sacred intention through the energy of will, shaping outcomes by thought, word, and deed. Will to be, will to know. That sacred blue spark is a color, a tone, reminding us of our life's purpose, to understand the nature of mind. As this light observed its flow, it noted intention to be. And its unmanifest potential generated a ray of wisdom, compassionate wisdom, red fire of equanimity and generosity. In observing itself brought forth the seed of active intelligence, the means to make the unmanifest real, which is the yellow fire germ of creative mind, wisdom to succeed. From these elder germs come all phenomena, one mind exploring itself in a myriad of forms. So the first sacred germ, or fire or spark, is blue, and it is will, the intention to be.
Mm-hmm.
Will is the underlying current, the fire that brings forth that which we perceive as our reality. We tend to think of will as a force or energy used to control others, ourselves, or the environment. Yet will is the first morphogenic germ, the spark, the pure intention to just be. To be is actually a verb that names an act. That simply to exist is a very active thing to be doing. Think of a big rock that you might walk by every day that doesn't move. Now think of the immense exertion it takes to hold yourself in such a stable posture. Could you do it like a rock? To hold itself together in a cosmos that is steadily flying apart, to prevail year after year against the suck of entropy, seems already to entail a kind of stubbornness and obdurate persistence that we miss when we think of being.
Wow. Wait a minute. I just want to say that in the Aymara language, when you call somebody stubborn, it's a word that's similar to rock and similar to mountain.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So keep going, please.
So by suppressing this activity of beingness, by taking being entirely for granted as a purely passive state, we flatten the wild contingency of existence, the uncertainty and risk of the present moment. To bring our will into harmony with universal truth is to understand our life purpose and to ask, why am I here? What are my gifts? Because human life is a great opportunity. Each one has particular gifts, a unique role in the circle. Conscious will becomes manifest as one dedicates one's gifts for the benefit of the family, the clan, the nation, and the more than human world. From the emptiness spiraled forth the light and song, and the intention to be was the apex of the triangle, the doorway through which all manifests. The wise practitioner cultivates the principle of will to dissolve habits of conflict and discord, supplemented by the wisdom of compassion and the voice of affirmation. Child mind is aware, yet one may relinquish or lose touch with the sacred principle of will at an early time of life, and then choices of unconsciousness are made. So when a young person hears adults say, we will do this, and then in fact they won't, this leads to a feeling of willlessness or powerlessness. And so we lose connection with our will. So faith in a sacred plan is the wind that fans the flames of willpower to manifest what is good. Through spiritual practice, the marrying of spirit with our flesh, we awaken clear relationship with the principle of light, conscientiously planting seeds of good cause for the benefit of all. Will combined with the wisdom of equanimity, seeing all things in right relationships, makes choices that manifest what is good unto 7 generations. So the sacred principle of will considers all, recognizing and affirming that all are in relationship to oneself, calling forth peace and harmony throughout the circle of life. Sacred truth number 2.
That's will. Will was first, so what's number
Will
2?
was the first. Wisdom of equanimity knows all things as relative to one's own thought and action, and stirs the fire of generosity and good relations in harmony with critters, the more than human world, neighbors, friends, family, and dehesa cohabitors. The medicine wheel of life is a circle. All exists within that circle. The circle is named life, a precious opportunity. It is zero, a dynamic balance of yin-yang goddess God. All creatures walking about the circle experience birth, pain, love, pleasure, and death. No one is above or below it. When it comes to dying time, all go alone without the comforts of wealth or friends. Lines and circles are equalizers that touch all beings. The circle's first line is between life and death. A line from heaven to earth, from north to south, is the will to be. From the south, a line arises to the north, completing the road of birth, life, and death. The north's frozen lakes reflect promise of what is yet to come, and warm winds release the potential intelligence, sending a light across the circle from east to west. And from the west comes a line of changes making complete the quartering of the circle. Wisdom's winds spin, the cross and the dance of life are one. Circle teachings represent the cycle of things that spiral in the ever-moving universe in a process of constant movement and subtle change in harmony together. So each one of us, within the circle of our own time and space, is ever spiraling with our thoughts, words, and actions toward realization of the whole. The circle represents complete harmony and balance. It is our medicine wheel. To transform any thought or activity that hides the perception of the circle is the duty of human beings. When separation thoughts arise, thoughts of them and us, recall that we are all in the circle of life together. So as human beings, let's affirm a world of complementary resolution in which we recognize the different parts of the whole, hear the different views and perspectives, and know that our view does not invalidate another's view, nor does their view invalidate ours. Because whatever our religion or philosophical views, we can each trace our roots to the great tree of peace. Whatever we call ourselves, the result is the same. We are human beings living together on planet Earth. And in this time, it's our duty to transform the obstacles of prejudice expressed as isms, like alcoholism, workaholism, all those isms.
All isms are bad, yeah.
The wondrous process of creation has brought forth the gifts of human life with limitless opportunities to explore its mysteries. We, in turn, have the responsibility to cultivate seeds of good relationship, expressing the joy for the opportunity of life. It's our responsibility to see things as they are in the process of change without fixation on imbalance, see the potential and call it forth. By acknowledging the inherent perfection, the crystal song singing in each one, we may bring forth the best in our family, our culture, our nation, and planet. And we can cultivate the certainty we seek by observing and living with the cycles of nature. Far, far away, the old ones who are crystal beings are singing, and their songs give order to chaos. Wise protectors could also be their names, and they are aiding all of us on earth who have not yet had the spark of a wisdom fire. They sing for all who would hear of worlds in harmony. They sing the sacred DNA spiral that gives form and pattern to desire. The spiral ignites the fires of will, compassion, and action, bringing fruit of life. Our thoughts and actions affect the sacred spiral, giving rise to balance and ease, or imbalance and dis-ease. Each human contributes to the song. All have something to give. So the second sacred germ is red. Germ or spark or fire is red, and it is the affirmation, the wisdom energy of compassion. Positive affirmation and generosity arise from the wisdom of equanimity, seeing all things in relationship and choosing to articulate and live in a sacred manner. By affirmation, one energizes one's visions of enlightened action. Forgiveness is a great balm, the most great medicine that brings freedom from hurt. We may pray, do outwardly good works, yet they mean little without forgiving ourselves and others for what might have been, could have been, or what we think should have been. Remorse for our negative actions, affirmation that we may transform obscurations, commitment to generating patterns or morphogenic fields of resolution, and willingness to share forgiveness with others so that friendship can always be made anew. This is Aini medicine. Very, very long ago, in the Smoky Mountains to the west of the Okanalufti River, there lived a wonderful young hunter. He had learned from the master of the hunt how to think like a bird, a deer, a turkey, a bear, a fish, and to understand all the signs of the woods. As a very young boy, he would be as still as a tree, looking and learning from nature and from the animals moving about. As he grew, the master hunter of the band taught him how to purify the wood to make a bow and arrow, and how to make an offering to the turkey who gave its feathers, how to show appreciation for the gifts of the forest. And he never did take the first animal he saw. He would honor it and make offerings and pray that others of its kind would come so that his people might eat. His name was Wax the Forest. As Wax the Forest became a man, he provided his band with much food and with skin and feathers for clothing. One time there were two old people who needed the medicine of the bear gall, and Wax the Forest said he would bring back that medicine. As he embarked on his way, he felt that this hunt would be very different. The forest was extremely quiet. Even the talkative streams were whispering this day. He walked through the forest calling the bear. Soon he saw the spoor of the bear. He made a resting place that night near the old tree where the bear had slept some time before, and he ate a bit of the parched corn he carried with him. Finally, on the fourth day, he sighted the bear. He shot an arrow, it landed in the bear's shoulder, and the bear kept moving. Wax the Forest tracked the bear for 3 more days. By now he had run out of food, and he began to realize this was no ordinary bear and that this was a very sacred hunt. So on the seventh day, he sat on the ledge and fasted and prayed to understand the import of the message the Creator was showing him. That night in the sky, he saw a star coming to earth, and he also heard many animals moving close by him. He felt that they too were on a vigil. As the sun rose, Wax the Forest saw before him a vast, shallow lake and heard the flapping of thousands of birds' wings and the sounds of many, many animals. He looked and he saw the bear in whose shoulder the arrow still rested. Walked to the water, pulled out the arrow, and the bear was renewed. On the side of the lake, he saw old wolves crawling to the water, deer limping, and all kinds of other wonderful animals. As they approached the lake, they were made new and healthy again. The predators did not attack their usual prey because they knew this was a sacred place. Any who could make their way to these waters of Atagahi, the magic lake, were renewed and past hurts were made whole. Then he heard a voice in the sky. Wax the Forest, you are of strong and pure heart. Remember this well. All who make their way here shall live long and give great benefit to their own kind. Tell your people not to hunt in this place, for here is a sanctuary for all living beings. Wax the Forest understood and went home, taking with him a bit of grass from the lake's edge. As he walked back to the village, that grass became like the bear's gallbladder that was needed by the old people. Everyone asked him, "Where is the bear?" And he said, "Well, a most wonderful thing has happened." And he gave them a medicine and told the people what he had seen. All agreed to honor that sacred place. Only those of pure heart can go there and see the sky reflected in the waters and renew their being. And to any others who are not pure of heart, it would appear as a vast grassy plain. So repatterning limiting thoughts and opening channels for the mind to create new forms. This comes through the affirmation of voice, and that was just a magical story of I kind of missed how to tie it in there. I'll have to look at that. But so repatterning limiting thoughts and opening channels for mind to create new forms. This comes through affirmation of the voice. See that you are in a process and that such and such a pattern needs correcting. Ask yourself, am I that pattern? And if it is incorrect, how can I correct it? So the first step is to always affirm, I am perfect within, I am whole within, I am alive, and I am okay. So number 3, sacred truth, that goes with the third germ. Discipline, diligence, active intelligence make waves of grace for the land and the people unto 7 generations. So the third sacred germ or spark is yellow, and it is actualization and skillful means. Mm-hmm. So to actualize is to make real a vision of peace for the people and the land. It is the happening and the doing. The germs of actualization precipitates the ideal into reality in harmony with sacred will and the energy of compassion. These 3 fires together become a triangle from which ideals are actualized through a process of strong intention, diligent action, and consideration for all beings. Through this third germ or spark or fire, the Creator's intention and individual relationship with that intention becomes real. The first step is to cultivate positive speech and thought, bringing the mind to stability through contemplation of the breath and the power of faith actualized as prayer and meditation. In prayer, one activates the force of sacred sound, the creative word, acknowledging the bounty already received and affirming that more will be received to benefit all your relations. Affirmation is a skillful means for transforming energy, and it begins with the deletion of negative statements about self and others. So a negative statement freezes one in time and space without room for harmonization. So saying he's a mean man freezes that person into time and space without room for harmonization.
Mm-hmm.
So instead, we would say he acts like a mean man, and leaves him the room for essential perfection to manifest. So to manifest fully, an affirmation needs to be unambiguous, a simple and clear statement of one's intention. To make clear an affirmation, one first gives thanks for having a human life and the ability to even consider enlightened action. Then, in the sanctuary of mind, one assesses the skills of the time and considers the goals and objectives to be accomplished for the benefit of one's family, clan, nation, planet, and future generations. And that is the third germ, the actualization.
That's amazing. Would you associate it in any way with the word refreshing, with making something fresh, like updating, maybe?
Yeah.
It's so amazing.
So one affirmation it could be said with this is every morning, I am alive, I am thankful, or I am thankful, I am alive, and I am okay, and today I shall accomplish this, and this for the benefit of my family, my friends, and my more than human world.
Mm-hmm.
And state those things that you want to accomplish. So this is the one of the best ways to bring actualization to reality, because then you have to become specific about what it is you want to accomplish.
Right. I've been practicing a lot because you've been naturally sharing with me this in our daily chat. And not exactly like this, but it's still kind of coming to this or similar to this. And we've talked about it for a long time, where you said it to me many times, that you actually limit someone when you, like the example you gave, when you say this person is mean. If I say that, if I think that, we have this power of changing somebody else just by how we
View them
and how we emit our judgment towards them. And it's really difficult to do this, to change, because you can't change the person right away, but then you do realize that by opening this possibility of him being something else, we just have so much power of doing this to others, really. Of limiting somebody, or we're so intertwined, humans, that and we think we're so individual and so self-reliant, and yes, we are
so highly controlled.
And then there's that other aspect of social engineering and mind control. But we can do so much by projecting and thinking.
Well, I just read this. Where is it? Everything we polish with attention becomes a mirror.
Right.
Everything we polish with attention. So if I look at my neighbor and say he's just a drunk, I'm polishing that with my attention. I'm freezing him in that space, polishing that with my attention, and now it becomes a mirror for my own drunk inside myself.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow, that's another aspect even.
Yeah.
An additional, how, yeah, wow. And you hadn't shared that one with me.
I'm gonna, and I got those words from, I was reading, there was a poet, Spanish poet, Juan Ramon Jimenez.
Mm-hmm.
He lived 1881 through 1958. He was a Nobel winning poet, Nobel Prize winning. He wrote a love letter to his donkey that was it was a part love letter to his donkey and part journal of ecstatic delight in nature and humanity. And he talks about this, and the person who is reviewing his work said those words: everything we polish with attention becomes a mirror. And I'm going to keep that posted, because what do I want to, if I'm going to polish in myself love,
Mm-hmm.
and joyful pleasure and gratitude and compassion, then I'm going to start seeing that as a mirror in other people, whether they drink or not.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether they act like a drunkard whether they drink something, right?
And I think all of this speaks a lot about how, even if there is a reality, a fixed time and space and reality that is independent from our perceptions, there is still, I mean, we cannot just live a plain reality without perceptions. There is a lot of perception always. That is another, we illuminate this reality with our minds and our perceptions. And that's the field where we can do so much, where we can change so much, where it can be so creative by just changing how allowing ourselves to understand that perceptions are not precisely reality, so that we can really perceive exactly the same thing. We can totally perceive it differently.
Right.
And in doing that, we are actually shaping that, because there's this interaction with that perception, that mind, and that temporary fixed reality.
Right.
That we think is so fixed, but then it's at the same time very much intertwined, interconnected, interdependent with perception and the mind field and
yeah.
You know. And here we are doing an amazing job of speaking and sharing and opening up for other people this possibility of sharing something that it really is, it has always been there, and it should be common knowledge. But it's not, because then we live in the sequestered world, I just see it now as a temporary civilization, very uncivilized civilization, very temporary as well, that we're living in. This is this like dark age that it's just not going to be here for much longer. And if you look into the past, it wasn't here for for so long either.
Yeah. So, well, I'm not sure if this came from Juan Ramon Jimenez or from the lady who wrote about him, but I'm going to keep this one around too. Beneath our anxious quickenings, beneath our fanged fears, beneath the rusted armors of conviction, tenderness is what we long for. Tenderness to salve our bruising contact with reality, to warm us awake from the frozen stupor of near living.
Wow.
I like that. Frozen stupor of near living, and that's what 95% of the world is doing today. They're in a frozen stupor of near living.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Oh, you have my attention so fixed on the tenderness. Because you got me thinking, because because those words are true. I mean, we are looking so much for that tenderness.
Well, that, I mean, yeah, it's just shown up in my life with my friend in the last week. He's longing. I mean, as I'm reading these words, I'm like, this is so him. This is so beneath he definitely has fanged fears, rusted armors of conviction, and he is longing for tenderness. That's why he keeps coming back.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Tenderness to salve our bruising contact with reality, and he just had a really bruising contact with reality.
Yeah, literally bruising like that.
Yeah. To warm us awake from the frozen stupor of near living. What did I tell you about the Wendigo? It's conquest in the summer.
And let's tell folks what that near living is. It's working in a factory. It's living this, wanting to stay on this
mechanistic, mindless, monetized, militant pathway.
Right, exactly. Modus vivendi, way of living this.
Yeah.
And just hey, folks, come back to reality that we are on planet Earth. And in planet Earth there are plants, there are animals, and all we really need to live is food.
Yeah.
And growing food and raising animals for food is not a lesser thing. It's not, you're not superior. You're never going to be superior to that. It's not a, and it's not a job for the slaves. You know, we got to get rid of that slave mindset where raising the food has got to be done now by machines, because that's such an undesirable thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, there's people that they did many years ago, they deconstructed the systems story. Did you ever see they're called the Zeitgeist documentaries?
Yeah.
Did you ever watch those?
Yeah.
I mean, at first it's amazing. It's like, wow, they deconstruct the whole economics. They explain to you how the economic system is rigged to screw you up and to keep the slavery system. And then as a solution, they show this Venus Project dude and this Venus Project stuff. But then they fall into the same thing of saying, well, nobody wants to be growing food. That's the problem, right? But that's not the problem. The problem is not that is a lesser thing to do, and that's a undesirable task that nobody wants to do. That's just a narration. It's a story that is not valid. I mean, all there is in this planet is life, and hence raise life and be with life and be with the plants and be with the animals. That's all there is. So, wow. So this is really beautiful. Yeah,
on the mindless, mechanistic, monetized front, I just heard, I'd listened to some stuff, and I just heard that I've known for a while about the BRICS nations. It's Brazil, Russia, India, and China is what BRICS stands for. But you know, they were all wanting to do away with the petrodollar, and the Saudis have, I guess, I'm not sure if it's just the Saudis or the whole BRICS complex together, have just announced that in the last 2 months, with those failure of banks, that they are no longer accepting the US petrodollar for purchasing oil and energy. And that's 30% of the world's commerce. So the US dollar is going down. They're only accepting the Chinese yuan.
So that's the reason why it's going down.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I still think it's a soft kind of thing.
I think it's going to tumble for a while because they don't want to. I mean, like this one economist was saying, we're coming up on a depression worse than 1929, the Great Depression of 1929. I think it's going to slowly plunge. us into depression. I don't think it's going to be like falling off the edge of a cliff.
Right. But then, you know what I think, Ingrid, is that I mean, I've been watching the sun, information about the sun lately, and it's really, really overacting. It's overacting. It's like having a lot more activity than usual.
Yeah.
I think that before 2030, we're going to see a big storm, and it's just going to blow out the whole electricity grid in the whole world. And there you'll have a true crisis.
Yeah.
There you will have the true blackout. But I think that's going to heal as well, humanity.
Yeah.
Imagine that happened. I mean, sure, a lot of people would die or whatever, but at the same time, it's kind of like what we need to just unplug from this, from this mind controlling AI, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to unplug it. I mean, that's what I think the sun is going to, and I even saw a meme once. There's a meme around there going out that says, why did the ancients worship the sun? Oh, because there was a time when AI controlled humanity, and then the sun turned out AI. So then people ended worshiping the sun. But then that sounds like a future story kind of. That's not the way I think it.
Yeah.
So we'll see, but I wouldn't say beyond what I mean. We cannot. A lot of people base their saying there's a lot of survivalists, people and preps. You know, the preppers.
The preppers, yeah.
I think that's you can't base all your decisions on a possible future or on a probable or no. You gotta also what you say all the time. It's not about what's coming. It's already here. I mean, we're already living in a fucking slavery. Everybody boxed in their own thing, and without being able to really think for themselves, and without being able to.
Well, and our vehicles RFID chipped with license plates that aren't even required.
Right.
I'm still horrified by that.
It's horrifying. It's already horrifying.
Give your license plate number to an auto parts dealer, and they have every bit of information about your truck.
Yeah. So it's already here. I mean, there's no what preparation for what future. It's already here. So it's really about just getting out of the present, or you know, putting attention or doing what you're going to do because of the present, not because of some preparation for the future. Because you want to be free now, because you want to get rid of that now, because you want to be able to, you know, to really be free and autonomous.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that all?
That's it.
Okay. What's the next session about?
We're going to go into the pentagram, which it starts with you know, we've already gone over the 5 elements, but that's a pentagram. There's many other pentagrams that are absolutely active in our lives, other than the 5 elemental spirits, and all those pentagrams I might marry them with the elemental spirit.
Okay. That's amazing.
So
the invitation sticks to the 97th session, coming up to the 100th, and we're probably not going to miss it, and it's going to be awesome. So please join us. Please comment, and please join Aloha I Need That Living soon, so you can be free now.
Yeah.
So thank you, Ingrid, and with that, I'll cut the live stream.
Okay, sounds good.
Alrighty.